Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Israel says Rafah operation to continue until Hamas destroys or the first hostage returns. Hamas warns no ceasefire deal if military operation on Rafah continues. Adult film star Stormy Daniels testifies for the first time in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Witness testimony to continue on Thursday. Impact of climate change continues to show severe consequences. While southern Brazil is devastated by floods, dry weather causes wildfire in northeastern Japan. The Olympic torch will enter France on Wednesday when it reaches the southern seaport of Marseille. Torchbearers will carry the flame across Marseille on Thursday. Let's first get you an update on Israel-Hamas conflict. A Hamas delegation arrived in Cairo from Qatar on Tuesday to follow up on Gaza ceasefire negotiations. It comes as Hamas leader Osama Hamdan warned in a press conference in Beirut that if Israel's military aggression continues in Rafah, there will be a no ceasefire deal.
If the aggression continues, there will be no ceasefire because Israelis are the ones attacking and shooting. It is normal for the resistance to respond to this aggression, to respond in defense and to respond in order to defeat the occupation.
Negotiations towards a ceasefire deal resumed in Cairo after Israeli delegation, Hamas officials, mediators from Qatar and Central Intelligence Agency Director William Burns arrived in the Egyptian capital on Tuesday. Hamas on Monday said that it had agreed to a ceasefire pact that would involve an exchange of hostages abducted by the group on October 7th for Palestinian prisoners in Israel. But the group added conditions that Israel hadn't approved, including a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Hamas has since offered some amendments to their Monday proposal. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that Israel will continue its operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah until Hamas forces in the area are destroyed or terrorist hands over one of the Israeli hostages it still holds. The Israeli Defense Minister visited Rafah area on Tuesday and met the commanders and soldiers operating there.
This operation will continue until we eliminate Hamas in the Rafah area and the entire Gaza Strip, or until the first hostage returns. We are willing to make compromises in order to bring back hostages, but if that option is removed, we will go on and deepen the operation. This will happen all over the Strip, in the south, in the center, and in the north. We know that Hamas only responds to force.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday that the ceasefire proposal accepted by Hamas falls far short of Israel's essential demands. In his remarks, Netanyahu also said that military pressure is still needed to return the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza.
The Hamas proposal is very far from Israel's necessary requirements. Israel will not allow Hamas to restore its evil rule in the Gaza Strip. Israel will not allow it to restore its military capabilities to continue striving for our destruction. Israel cannot accept a proposal that endangers the security of our citizens and the future of our country.
The United States said it has been told that the Kerem Shalom crossing into Gaza will reopen on Wednesday. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said on Tuesday that Israel has committed to reopening the Kerem Shalom, one of the two main entryways for aid into Gaza, along with the Rafah crossing. Kerem Shalom remained closed on Tuesday. The U.S. pressed for the reopening of both Rafah and Kerem Shalom crossings to facilitate humanitarian aid.
Israel has committed to reopening the Kerem Shalom. That's a conversation, as you all know, from the readout that the president had with the Prime Minister of Israel, and we want to make sure that we get that done. We've been told that that's going to happen tomorrow. We are working to move that up. Fuel deliveries through Rafah should also commence tomorrow. That's what we've been told. And we believe Rafah border crossing should also be quickly reopened for the movement of humanitarian assistance. We are insisting that there should be no disruptions of humanitarian assistance flows.
US President Joe Biden said that there is no room for anti-Semitism in our world, speaking from a Holocaust memorial event at the Capitol. Previously, Biden emphasized that US student protesters are allowed to exercise their freedom of speech against investment in Israel, but not to speak out against the country's existence. DD India's Caroline Malone gets us more from Washington.
US President Joe Biden spoke at a special Holocaust memorial event on Tuesday in Washington, D.C. At that event, he was talking out against anti-Semitism. He reflected on the events in history that led to 6 million Jews dying during the Holocaust and said that people will never forget, he will never forget, and those events must never be repeated, must never happen again. He said, though, there is still some hate in the world, and he said, as an example, we saw that hate displayed during the Hamas attack on October 7th of last year, and he said that the US in particular must continue to move against anti-Semitism. He connected all that to what we're seeing on student campuses, saying there's been illustrations of anti-Semitism, particularly with some of the students calling for the end of the state of Israel, and says there should be no tolerance for that. Now, the White House has released a number of initiatives to move against this type of hate speech, calling for more examples being given to the Department of Education to share with schools and institutions, calling for counter-terrorism policies to be shared by the Department of Homeland Security, and also working with a special envoy against anti-Semitism nationally. It is a difficult time, though, for Biden, as he's about 6 months away now from another election in which he is bidding to be president again. The young voters who are at these schools, the students, are an important demographic for him to gain the support of. They appear, of course, to be not happy, although they're just a small proportion of the wider student and youth population. There's also an older generation who's been watching what's been happening on campuses, seeing the police clear out protesters in some cases, not being happy with violence that's erupted in places such as UCLA in the last week or two. So that will be an important part of how people decide to vote going forward in November's election. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
Ukrainian forces attacked an oil storage depot and sparked a large fire, injuring 5 people late on Tuesday on the outskirts of the Russian-held city of Luhansk in eastern Ukraine, the region's Russia-installed leader said. He later reported that 5 employees of the depot were taken to hospital. All units from the local division of Russia's emergencies ministry were deployed to put out the fire and keep the nearby buildings safe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Tuesday that the island state of Cape Verde had become the first African country to agree to attend a World Peace Summit aimed at finding a solution to Ukraine's more than 2-year-old war against Russia. The summit, to which Russia has not been invited, is to take place on June 15th and 16th in Switzerland, and Ukraine hopes to marshal broad support to persuade Moscow to agree to the terms that Kyiv deems acceptable. The president, who made a brief stopover in Cape Verde last year on his way to Argentina, also mentioned the conversation in his nightly address as a step in organizing the June gathering.
Коротко про цей день. Перший фронт.
Every continent will be represented at our summit in Switzerland. Different nations, small or large, those who have clearly shown their support for international law and those who will do so.
З військовими
US President Joe Biden praised Romanian President Klaus Iohannis on Tuesday for his leadership and for providing security assistance during the war in Ukraine during a meeting at the White House. Romanian President Klaus Iohannis said that he was open to discussing sending a Patriot system to Ukraine after German appeals to European Union and NATO member states to bolster Ukraine's air defense. He added that allies have to find ways to prevent Russia from winning the war in Ukraine.
We have to find ways to prevent Russia to win this war in Ukraine. And here we have to stay united, we have to work together, and we will, as far as I can see.
The White House said on Tuesday that there are 2 separate cases of U.S. citizens being detained in Russia, and the State Department is seeking consular access to both of them. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters the State Department is seeking consular access to both the individuals.
What I also can confirm is that there are 2 separate cases of U.S. citizens being detained in Russia. The State Department is actively seeking consular access to both individuals, neither of whom were in Russia on behalf or in affiliation with the U.S. government. We take seriously our commitment to assist U.S. citizens abroad and provide all appropriate assistance.
European aviation safety experts are cautioning about the rising threat of GPS interference affecting commercial flights in the continent. Finland's Finnair has been forced to suspend some services due to pilots receiving false information. Multiple European governments are blaming Russia for jeopardizing passenger safety as part of a broader hybrid war tactic against NATO countries. DD India's correspondent Trent Murray gets us more from Berlin.
As Europe's airports prepare for the peak summer season, industry experts are sounding the alarm over new safety concerns. Incidents of so-called GPS spoofing have skyrocketed in recent months. Experts say the deliberate manipulation of satellite signals can trick an aircraft's computer systems to navigate off course, the false data overriding its real location. These Flight Radar 24 maps show the scale of the problem, the issue particularly concentrated around Eastern Europe and the Baltics. Captain Janis Kristops is the safety manager at the region's flag carrier Air Baltic. He told DD India the airline's pilots are increasingly noticing their GPS instruments being jammed mid-flight.
GPS signal is coming from satellites positioned on very high just an orbit around the globe and reaching ground as a quite weak radio signal. And this weak radio signal is very easy just to, let's say, mask, to, let's say, make interference, to cut it off and to spoof it. Speaking about like last 3 or 4 months, yes, we can see that this is rising.
While Europe's airlines have steered clear of calling out a culprit, the continent's politicians have not. The foreign ministers of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania have all blamed Russia, saying it's no coincidence the aircraft's signal interference is spiking near Russia's borders, and they've turned to the EU for help.
As you will certainly understand, it is difficult for us to comment on specific incidents, also given that they have security implications. But in general, what I can tell you about this issue is that, of course, the Commission condemns any purposeful disturbance of civil air traffic. When it comes to the passenger safety aspect of your question, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency is closely monitoring the situation and also assessing any occurrences that are reported to EASA.
Members of NATO are increasingly calling out Russia for what they describe as an intensifying campaign of hybrid warfare activities against European countries, including espionage, misinformation campaigns and electronic interference. The alliance leadership accusing Russia of trying to deter allies from continuing to support Ukraine. But one of the alliance's biggest members, Germany, says it's having the opposite effect. The country's foreign minister calling out Moscow by name during a recent visit to Australia where she discussed recent cyber attacks.
Russian state hackers have attacked Germany in cyberspace. This is completely unacceptable and will not remain without consequences.
But while the political back and forth takes place, for passengers in European skies, the threat remains. Airlines have been at pains to stress that backup systems remain in place if GPS signals are jammed. But for the travelling public, it's a potent reminder that the arena of modern war can now extend far beyond a traditional front line. putting at the forefront new threats to travel that can exist as a result of our ever-growing reliance on technology and connectivity. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Up next, we're heading for a short break, but after the break, Donald Trump's woes lessen, at least for now, as his classified documents trial gets indefinitely postponed. Chinese President Xi Jinping begins his state visit to Serbia, aiming at development of the bilateral relations. Massive donation of fossils for fire-affected Rio Museum.
Tracking the fourth phase of general elections, Team Poll Pulse has reached Telangana, the youngest state of India. Here in capital Hyderabad is being witnessed a high-voltage contest. Four-time MP Asaduddin Owaisi of AIMIM is challenged by Madhavilata of the BJP. Congress and the BRS are also in the fray.
It's very important youth makes the correct choice and votes for the right person.
अगर वोटिंग करते हैं तो अपने मतलब का गवर्नमेंट लेके आ सकते हैं.
स्थिर सरकार आने से प्रोग्रेस बढ़ेगा भारत सरकार का.
Join us as we track the pulse of Indian democracy. Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The adult film star Stormy Daniels testified in a Manhattan court about her alleged affair with former President Donald Trump, which he denies. She also spoke about the hush money she received to keep quiet about the affair. Trump is facing charges of falsifying business records before the 2016 election and has entered a plea of not guilty to 34 charges. DD India's correspondent Sally Patterson gets us more details.
Speaking to reporters outside a Manhattan courthouse, Donald Trump once again slammed the so-called hush money case he's at the center of. He said that the case is totally falling apart. That's at the end of a day of explosive testimony from adult film star Stormy Daniels. She claims to have met Donald Trump in 2006 at a golf tournament, and she said she was invited to his hotel room where they had dinner together, and then she says they had a sexual encounter. Donald Trump has repeatedly denied ever having a relationship with Daniels. Now, at the heart of this case is how that payment, which was later made to Stormy Daniels in order to keep quiet about that alleged affair, was filed. Michael Cohen, who was once Trump's lawyer and fixer, allegedly paid $130,000 to Daniels to keep quiet about that affair. Then Trump's team allegedly paid back that money to Cohen and filed it as legal expenses. The prosecution alleges that that was illegal and shouldn't have happened. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 different criminal counts of falsifying business records and says that this is a politically motivated attack by his opponents to try and keep him out of the White House. Sally Patterson in New York reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, Trump's classified documents trial has been indefinitely postponed. The trial is underway in Florida on charges of illegally keeping classified documents after leaving office. Previously, he was scheduled to go to trial on May 20th. The judge, however, scheduled pre-trial hearings to run through July 22nd. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 40 federal counts. The development greatly reduces the odds he will face a jury in either of the two federal criminal cases against him before the November 5th U.S. election. A national conference on prospect and roadmap for feminist foreign policy in Nepal was organized in Kathmandu on Tuesday. The main theme of the conference was the integration of feminist foreign policies more stronger as per international standards. Seva Lamzal, Nepal's foreign secretary, stated that Nepal is gradually improving women's representation in Nepal's executive, legislative and judicial bodies, as well as in civil services. Experts shared their views on different aspects of the feminist foreign policy. After his France tour, Chinese President Xi Jinping started his state visit to Serbia on Tuesday at the invitation of President Alexander Vučić. Upon his arrival, Xi Jinping in a statement expressed readiness to work with Serbian President to map out a new blueprint for development of the bilateral relations. He will hold in-depth exchange of views with President Vučić on bilateral relations and other issues of common concern. Comprehensive strategic partnership was established between the two countries in 2016. Xi's state visit to Serbia is the second leg of his three-nation European tour from 5th to 10th of May. He will next visit Hungary. Japan, China and South Korea are preparing to hold a three-way summit in Seoul on May 26th and 27th. It will be the first such meeting since December 2019. The three Asian countries were unable to hold a trilateral summit due to deterioration in Japan-South Korea relations and the COVID pandemic. The meeting is expected to bring together Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Their discussions are seen covering 6 areas, including people-to-people exchanges, economy and trade, public health, peace and security, with outcome documents likely to be released. Bilateral talks may also take place. Let's get to weather update from across the globe now. Southern Brazil has been hit by worst floods in more than 80 years, with at least 90 dead, over 130 people still missing, and 150,000 homeless. A plane and runways remained underwater after the heavy rain lashed the city of Porto Alegre, where the Beira Rio Stadium was turned into a muddy pool. Flooding from storms has destroyed roads and bridges in several cities, while triggering landslides and the partial collapse of a dam at a small hydroelectric power plant. Weather conditions improved on May 6th, but showers are expected to return at lower volumes later this week and could pick up again between May 10th and 15th. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva asked Congress on Monday to recognize a state of public calamity for the heavy rains. A swarm of tornadoes touched down overnight in Oklahoma, United States, that killed at least one person and injured at least 5 as they flattened homes and ripped down trees in the northeast corner of the state. The persisting havoc destroyed about 40 homes and natural gas leak in Barnsdall. Thousands of homes and businesses were left without power in Oklahoma, in the United States. Back home in India's hilly state of Uttarakhand, forest fire continues to rage. Air Force chopper on Tuesday resumed its operation on the second day to douse the forest fire near Advani village in Pauri Garhwal district. The operation was delayed due to thick smoke which engulfed the Srinagar town. As forest fires continue to pose a serious threat, the state government has banned the burning of crop residue and stubble in the fields with immediate effect and has warned legal action. Taking note of the raging forest fire, Supreme Court will hear the case against the origin of the forest fires. Over 1,000 hectares of forest land have been destroyed across Uttarakhand since November last year. The combined impact of climate change and humans are providing double trouble for wild urban dwelling bird species in Australia. Australia is vulnerable to the effects of global warming projected for the next 50 to 100 years because of its extensive and semi-arid areas and already warm climate, affecting not just the birds but all wildlife. It is crucial for conservation efforts to address these dual challenges to protect the biodiversity. The Climate Change Office of Sri Lanka, the Climate Vulnerable Forum and native capital of Portugal signed an MOU in Colombo to work together on a farming and forest protection project in Sri Lanka. The project provides support to 15,000 farming families in Anuradhapura district in a project under the Climate Prosperity Plan. The total investment for this project is $100 million US, with each farmer's family receiving $6,000 US for equipment and technology, including solar-powered sprinklers.
Every project in the Sri Lanka Climate Prosperity Plan is designed so that it is environmentally friendly and sustainable, meanwhile still giving you an economic return.
Tokyo Disney Sea is opening a new area in June that celebrates popular films such as Frozen. The section is called Fantasy Springs. It was unveiled to the media on Tuesday. The theme park operator, Oriental Land, says the area spans 140,000 square meters. It is the largest expansion of the Disney Sea since the park opened in 2001. The expansion cost $2 billion. The company expects the new section to boost the sales by an additional 10%. And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Travelers were stuck in huge queues for at least 45 minutes after a border force outage hit UK airports, including Edinburgh, with the Home Office confirming problems with e-gates, prompting chaos for travelers up and down the country. Britain's leading airports in Northern England said that they were aware of a nationwide problem and their staff were working with border force officials to help resolve the issue. Thai anti-human trafficking police arrested an American who fled a 25-year jail sentence in the United States for kidnapping, human trafficking and other crimes. The 37-year-old fled to Thailand and was running from the police for the last 3 months. World observes Red Crescent Day, also known as the World Red Cross Day. The day marks the spirit of humanitarianism and recognizes the individuals who make a difference in their communities. The idea for World Red Cross came after the First World War with a motive to stop humanitarian crisis and empower peace. A Rio museum that was engulfed by fire has received a massive donation of fossils for rebuilding its collection for the public. Now, a donation of over 11,000 Brazil fossils is helping to bring the museum back to life. Among the donated pieces are dinosaur skeletons that experts say provide unique insight into paleontology in South America. John Krasinski says he made his new film If for his children. The live-action and animated fantasy comedy is written and directed by Krasinski, who also plays the main character's father and voices the character Marshmallow in the movie. The imaginary friend fantasy film If starts its global cinematic rollout on 8th of May. A quick break ahead, but after the break on DD India News Hour, we tell you India records 64.4% voter turnout in the third phase of polling, campaigning for fourth phase at its peak. World Thalassemia Day is observed every year on May 8th to raise awareness around this genetic disorder. Breaking down the barriers, man without hands gets a four-wheeler license in Chennai.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. Israel says Rafah operation to continue until Hamas destroyed or first hostage returned. Hamas warns no ceasefire deal if military operation on Rafah continues. Adult film star Stormy Daniels testifies for the first time in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Witness testimony to continue on Thursday. Impact of climate change continues to show severe consequences. While southern Brazil is devastated by floods, dry weather causes wildfire in northeastern Japan. The Olympic torch will enter France on Wednesday when it reaches the southern seaport of Marseille. Torchbearers will carry the flame across Marseille on Thursday. All right, let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India now. Eleven states and union territories voted on Tuesday in the third phase of Lok Sabha elections amid searing temperatures. May 7th witnessed peaceful polling and the voter turnout was recorded at 64.4%. A provisional voter turnout of around 61.5% has been recorded, with the highest polling witnessed in Assam despite overcast skies and light rainfall in most areas. With this, polling is over in 20 states and union territories, covering 283 Lok Sabha seats. "75 international delegates from 23 countries visited many polling stations in 6 states to witness India's poll process. Their first-hand observation encompassed the dispatch of polling materials and machines to polling teams, illuminating the procedural intricacies of the electoral process. Expressing admiration for the scale and transparency of operations, the delegates also commended the palpable festival spirit pervading the voting populace. Campaigning for the fourth phase of Lok Sabha elections scheduled on May 13th gains momentum as political leaders hold rallies and roadshows across the nation. In order to garner support for voters in the favour of party candidates, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Prime Minister will be holding rallies in Telangana's Karimnagar and Warangal. He will also offer prayers at Sri Raja Rajeshwara Swami Temple in Telangana. The Prime Minister later in the day will hold rallies in Andhra Pradesh's Rajampet and Vijayawada. Other political parties are also leaving no stone unturned to garner support for the party candidates. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi will be campaigning in Hyderabad, which is scheduled to go to polls on May 13th. To seek votes in party's candidate favours, to seek votes in the favour of the party candidate, Samajwadi Party Supremo Akhilesh Yadav will hold a public meeting in Uttar Pradesh's Farrukhabad. All right, let's get to the political pulse across the country. Akshay Dongre is joining us to get us more, and also Yogesh Sheetal is joining us from Maharashtra. Akshay, first to you. Voting for all the 17 seats will be held in phase 4. Let us understand the key contest which we should watch out for in this phase.
Well, the state of Telangana has a very interesting politics going on. In the past few elections, what we have seen is not only the regional party, Telangana Rashtra Samiti, which later turned into Bharat Rashtra Samiti, being decimated by the Congress party. On the other hand, the Bharatiya Janata Party in the last election also gained momentum in the state. So the dynamics of the state politics is changing quite a lot. There are 17 seats, and all 17 seats Preeti, are going for polls on the fourth phase. The entire state will be going for polls. There are key constituencies, including Hyderabad. There are other constituencies as well, which will be quite interesting to look out for. And in fact, the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to make its strongest push, perhaps, in this when it comes to the South India, in the state of Telangana, where in the last 2019 election, the BJP was able to get a lot of seats, arresting them from the Telugu Rashtra Samiti, the TRS, the last time around. And this time they are expecting to get some more seats. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to hold a rally in the state. There will be another political event in Warangal as well. And then after that, Prime Minister will be moving to Andhra Pradesh. So while the politics of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are closely linked, it's also very interesting to see that the elections are also taking place at the same time in both of these states, where all of the seats will be going for polls. Some of the key candidates in the state of Telangana have already started pushing for political campaigning, and it seems that with just 4 days of campaigning to go, the political atmosphere is already quite heated in the state.
All right, from here we turn focus to Maharashtra. Yogesh Sheetal is joining us from Maharashtra. Yogesh, good morning. When we talk of phase 4, then the 3 Marathwada seats of Aurangabad, Jalna and Beed will be deciding the fate of political bigwigs in phase 4. Let us get more from you on this. Help us understand the political contest.
Very good morning, Preeti. Very good morning to our viewers also. You have rightly said these 3 constituencies are going to play a very important role in the entire election, and when it comes to result, definitely, because in Aurangabad we have seen this, the renamed as Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar. Imtiaz Jalil, last time he just secured victory with a very small, very thin margin of roughly somewhere around 4,900, and this time he will definitely, the AIM would be trying their best to retain that seat. At the same time, coming to other pockets, basically Beed. The Beed has been the Munde's, the Bashan, the late Gopinath Munde. We know that the entire region are basically known for their works. And coming to other things, the main important key thing is Maratha reservation, because recently we had seen that how Maratha reservation protest was intensified from Jalna, which is one of the constituencies going to poll in this phase. So coming to that aspect, the OBC community, basically OBC communities, there is a fear in their mind that their reservation may be shared with Maratha, and a lot of statements, war of words, protest kind of thing we have witnessed in this region particularly. So coming to in this phase, there are 11 constituencies, out of which majority of them are from Marathwada region, core Marathwada region, and Maratha protest will definitely play some role. Coming to other issues, there are farmer related issues, there are irrigation related issues, there are the development related issues, infrastructure issues, because the works that have been done in this region, particularly on road infrastructure, railway connectivity, so things have been done here also. So coming broadly to all the 11 pockets, yes, this election, this phase will definitely everyone would be eyeing at, and especially NCP faction, 2 faction of NCP and 2 faction of Shiv Sena also. Why NCP is important? Why I'm giving a stress on NCP factions? Because Manoj Jarange Patil, who had started the entire protest, is believed to be close to Sharad Pawar. So if the result goes on that way, it may send a message that the Pawars would finally, have succeeded a bit in their politics. When it comes to another way, we can think, or the people, the mandate can be a message to the political circle in Maharashtra that yes, protest is okay, but the steps taken by the ruling government after the protest had yielded some good results. So it remains to be seen that what would happen. But yes, definitely this phase is quite interesting if you see it broadly. Yeah, over to you.
All right, the poll contest is interesting, and all preparations are in place for the 4th phase of polling that will be held on May 13. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us this morning. And India's Election Commission is leaving no stone unturned to encourage the people of India to step out and vote. Our correspondent tells us more about interesting awareness campaigns taken up by the Election Commission of India in India's northern city of Srinagar. Take a look.
In a bid to increase awareness among citizens regarding their duty to exercise their franchisee, a street play or Nukkad Natak was organized at Polo Ground in India's Srinagar under Election Commission's flagship program Sweep.
We left no stone unturned to reach to the masses by Nukkad Natak, by plays, by Rangoli competitions, by all the, especially young youth, they have participated here, and in the shape of rallies or snow scooters or whatever innovative ideas we have found or district election officers have found.
Such light-hearted awareness programs are being organized by India's election body in the entire valley. Importance of voting is being explained through street plays, songs, music and many other ways.
Through Nukkad Natak, we are trying to communicate with the locals here that we have the right to vote, and why should we just think that it is not workable at all. This is vote is our right, and vote is our voice right now. We shall vote. We shall think about for the future generations. We shall think about for the tomorrow. It's better to vote today.
The initiative is being highly appreciated in Srinagar, especially by the youth.
This time I am feeling really happy that people are coming out. They have the political knowledge, which we are not having before. And I request people on our party's behalf that come out and vote this time, because this is the high time that we should go for voting.
SWEEP is ACI's awareness program for voter education, promoting voter literacy in India and ensuring active participation in the upcoming elections in the valley as well. Rama Tyagi for DD India.
Repolling is underway at Doordarshan village in Rajasthan's Barmer Lok Sabha constituency, following the complaints made about the breach of secrecy during the polling exercise in the second phase on April 26th. Repolling will be held till 5 in the evening for 1,294 voters registered at the polling station. All right, let's get to more international updates now. In response to media queries regarding the float in the Nagar Kirtan parade in Malton, Canada, India's External Affairs Ministry expressed concern with violent images that were used against India's political leadership. Similarly, a float depicting the assassination of former Indian Prime Minister was also used in a procession last year. Display of posters of Indian diplomats have also been put out across Canada, threatening violence against them. India strongly stressed that celebration and glorification of violence should not be part of any civilized society, and called upon the Government of Canada to stop providing criminal and secessionist elements a safe haven and political space in Canada. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Maldives, Musa Zamir, will be in India on an official visit on Thursday. During his visit to New Delhi, Foreign Minister Zamir will meet the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, for discussions and bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest. Maldives is India's key maritime neighbour in the Indian Ocean region, and Foreign Minister Zamir's visit is expected to lend further momentum to the bilateral cooperation between the two countries. Now, this will be the first official visit of Foreign Minister Zamir to India since assuming office. The visit comes as India has said that it will replace its military personnel from Maldives before May 10th. World Thalassemia Day is observed every year on May 8th to raise awareness around this genetic disorder and support those who are struggling with it. We get your detailed report. World Thalassemia Day is observed annually on May 8th to highlight the global impact of thalassemia and the ongoing efforts to support individuals affected by this inherited blood disorder. Thalassemia is a genetic blood disorder which occurs when the body is unable to produce enough hemoglobin, a protein in the red blood cells. Diagnostic tests confirm thalassemia types and severity. Prenatal diagnosis can help understand the status in the womb. Pre-implantation genetic testing is also done, where embryos can be screened and the healthy embryo can be implanted. The early detection of thalassemia during pregnancy via blood tests of both the parents can help reduce the population of those born with thalassemia. Additionally, early diagnosis of thalassemia makes treatment easier. Observing World Thalassemia Day increases awareness about the disease and automatically aids its prevention. With inputs from Kiran Bhardwaj for DD India. 7th May marked Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore's 163rd birth anniversary. The Indian poet, writer and philosopher's legacy continues to shape literature, music and art. Functions to pay floral tributes to Rabindranath Tagore were held at the Central Hall of Parliament. Shreya Mukherjee revisits the life of this visionary.
A Nobel laureate, Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore has inspired generations. A renowned poet, writer, painter, musician, educationist and social reformer, Tagore wore many hats with grace. Born on the 7th of May 1861 in Kolkata's Jorashako Thakurbari, Tagore was the youngest son of Debendranath Tagore, a prominent figure in the Bengal Renaissance, and Sharoda Devi. The Bard of Bengal was the first Indian to win the Nobel Prize in 1913 for his book of poems Gitanjali. While he wrote the Indian national anthem Jana Gana Mana in 1911, his song Amar Sonar Bangla is the national anthem of Bangladesh. In his lifetime, Kavi Guru composed over 2,200 songs and wrote several novels. Being in the forefront of the Swadeshi movement during the partition of Bengal in 1905, Tagore took active participation in the Quit India movement. It was Tagore who first addressed Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi as the Mahatma. The polymath also shared a special friendship with Albert Einstein, the father of modern-day physics. In his fight for freedom against the British rule, Tagore emphasized on education for society and nation building. He established the Vishwa Bharati University in 1921 that mirrors his ideals. On Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore's 163rd birth anniversary, let's celebrate the legend and his enduring legacy. Shreya Mukherjee's report for DD India.
All right, let's get you an interesting report from Chennai. A 30-year-old amputee from Chennai who lost both of his hands broke down barriers. Or before that, very quickly, we'll also get you the remembrances that were put forth for Rabindranath Tagore on his birth anniversary. Remembering Rabindranath Tagore on his 163rd anniversary, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared his homage to Gurudev Tagore on his social media Twitter handle. Prime Minister highlighted Gurudev's enduring wisdom and genius, which continues to inspire and enlighten innumerable people across the generations. So that was Prime Minister's remembrance for Guru Rabindranath Tagore. Also, we'll get you the next report coming in from Chennai. A 30-year-old amputee from Chennai who lost both of his hands broke down barriers and became the first person in Tamil Nadu to obtain a driver's license. Tansen, who is inspiration to others, lost both of his hands due to an electrical accident during his childhood. He uses his legs to operate his car. All right, a perfect example of will and determination there. Up next, we're heading for a short break, but after the break, US stocks climb on solid earnings to a fourth straight higher close and its best winning run since March. Delhi Capitals shook Rajasthan Royals by 20 runs in the IPL clash on Tuesday. Yuzvendra Chahal sets a new record too. Stay with us to know more. Drone and fireworks display celebrated the imminent arrival of the Olympic flame at Marseille's Old Port.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Let's turn focus to business now. The S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average both clung on to gains to close higher on Tuesday. The advances pushed the S&P 500 to a fourth straight higher close and its best winning run since March. For the Dow, it is now on its longest positive run since December 2023, gaining for the fifth session in a row. Generally, the Fed and policymakers have been consistent in their message in recent weeks that rate cuts will come, but the central bank is going to be cautious in implementing them. That message was repeated on Monday by Fed of New York President John Williams and also Richmond Federal Reserve President Thomas Buchan. Asian stocks lagged direction on Wednesday. Japan's Nikkei slumped about 1% as traders took profits following the previous session's 1.6% surge. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan slid 0.19%, weighed down partly by declines from mainland Chinese blue chips. Also, Hang Seng rose 0.52%. Talking of sports now, Borussia Dortmund entered the Champions League final by a 2-0 aggregate win over Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday. Dortmund showed great composure to reach their third Champions League final and the first since 2013 after Mats Hummels' second half goal earned a 1-0 victory on the night. Dortmund will now meet either 14 times champion Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, who clashed at the Bernabeu on Wednesday after a 2-each draw in the first leg. The final showdown is on June 1st at Wembley. On to IPL now. Delhi Capitals defeated Rajasthan Royals by 20 runs in the IPL clash on Tuesday. Rajasthan captain Sanju Samson kept Rajasthan's 222-run chase going after the loss of Riyan Parag, Jose Butler and Yashasvi Jaiswal. Also, Yuzvendra Chahal became the first Indian to take 350 T20 wickets after scalping Delhi captain Rishabh Pant. Now, there was also a first for Delhi Capitals opener Jake Fraser-McGurk as he became the first player in IPL to score 3 half-centuries in less than 20 balls. Also, Sunrisers Hyderabad will take on Lucknow Super Giants in New Delhi today. The Olympic flame is set to arrive in the French port of Marseille on Wednesday in front of a crowd of up to 150,000 people. The transfer of the flame on shore from a 19th century tall ship will mark the start of a 12,000 kilometers torch relay across mainland France and the country's far-flung overseas territories. Organizers are excited for the first public spectacle of their much-hyped iconic Olympics, which are just 79 days away from now. The Olympic torch journey began after being lit on April 16th in ancient Olympia. The torch was then carried around Greece before leaving Athens aboard a 3-mast ship named Belem. More than 800 drones formed different shapes over the Mediterranean city's Vieux Port to celebrate the upcoming arrival of the Olympic flame at Marseille's Old Port in southern France, where the Olympic torch is set to land on Wednesday. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on the screens to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.